I'm 91 years old. 91. I've lived long enough to see my great-grandchildren take their first steps. Long enough to bury the only woman I ever truly loved. Long enough to sit in this empty house, surrounded by photographs of a life that slipped through my fingers while I was too stubborn to hold on. My name is Walter. Most folks call me Walt. And I'm going to tell you something today that I've never told anyone. Not my children, not my pastor, not even my own reflection in the mirror, because for decades I couldn't bear to look that man in the eye. I destroyed my marriage. Not with affairs, not with fists, not with the kind of sins you can point to and say, "There, that's where it went wrong." I destroyed it slowly, quietly, with 1,000 tiny cuts that I told myself didn't matter. By the time I realized what I'd done, my wife had been gone for 15 years. Not divorced, not separated, just gone. Somewhere inside herself where I couldn't reach her anymore. She died in my arms, and her last words to me were, "I wish you'd tried sooner. I wish I'd tried sooner." That sentence has been echoing in my head for 12 years now. It wakes me up at 3 a.m. It follows me to the breakfast table. It sits in the empty chair across from me where she used to sit, drinking her coffee, waiting for a version of me that never showed up. So if you're married, or thinking about getting married, or wondering why your marriage feels like two strangers sharing a lease, sit down. Listen. Learn from an old fool who figured it out too late. Let me tell you about my Evelyn. We met in 1956. I was 24, fresh out of the army, working at my uncle's hardware store, and thinking I was going to conquer the world. She walked in looking for a set of screwdrivers. Her father was fixing something at their house, and she'd been sent to fetch the tools. She had this way of tilting her head when she was confused, like a curious bird. Stood there staring at the wall of screwdrivers like they were written in a foreign language. I walked over. Tried to be smooth. Probably wasn't. "Need some help?" She looked at me with those green eyes, Lord, those eyes, and said, "I need a Phillips head, but I have no idea what a Phillips head looks like, and if you try to explain it, I'll probably just nod and pretend I understand." I laughed. First real laugh I'd had in weeks. I helped her pick the right one. She thanked me. I asked if I could take her for a coffee sometime. She said, "You can take me for a coffee right now. My father can wait for his screwdrivers." That was Evelyn. Spontaneous. Warm. The kind of woman who made you feel like the world was a little brighter just because she was in it. We were married 6 months later. The early years were good. Better than good. We had nothing. A tiny apartment above a bakery, so small you could stand in the middle and almost touch both walls. Furniture from her grandmother's attic. A mattress that sagged in the middle, so we always rolled toward each other in our sleep. But we were happy. We'd dance in that little kitchen, no music, just humming whatever song was stuck in our heads. We'd talk for hours about everything, our dreams, our fears, the names we'd give our future children. We'd fight about stupid things, then make up before the sun went down, because neither of us could stand going to bed angry. I thought that was just how marriage worked, that it sustained itself, that the love we felt at 24 would carry us through without any effort on my part. I was a fool. The problems started so small, I didn't even notice them. First it was work. I got a better job, then a better one. Then I started my own business, a small contracting company, nothing fancy, but it was mine. I was proud of it, obsessed with it, if I'm honest. I started leaving earlier, coming home later. Weekends became work days. Evelyn would say, "Walt, we haven't had dinner together in 2 weeks." And I'd say, "Once the business is stable, things will slow down." Things never slowed down. There was always another contract, another client, another problem that only I could solve. I told myself I was building something for us, for our future, for the family we were going to have. But somewhere along the way, us became me. I didn't notice the light in her eyes getting dimmer. I didn't notice her laughter becoming rarer. I was too busy counting money to count the cost. Then the children came. Thomas first, in 1961. Then Patricia, in 1964. Then little Robert, in 1968. 3 beautiful children who deserved a father, not just a provider. I told myself I was being a good dad. I put food on the table, paid for their clothes, their school supplies, their braces. Never missed a mortgage payment. Never let them want for anything material. But I missed birthdays, missed school plays, missed Thomas's first home run, and Patricia's piano recital, and Robert's science fair win. Evelyn covered for me. She always did. Daddy's working hard for us, she'd tell them. He loves you. He just can't be here right now. She was my translator, turning my absence into something that sounded like love. But kids aren't stupid. They know the difference between being provided for and being present. They feel the empty chair at the dinner table, even if there's plenty of food on their plates. The real damage, though, the kind that doesn't heal, I did to Evelyn. Year after year, I took her for granted. She'd try to talk to me about her day, and I'd half listen while reading the newspaper. She'd suggest a weekend away, just the 2 of us, and I'd say, maybe next month, until next month became next year, became never. She'd reach for my hand in bed, and I'd already be asleep, or pretend to be. She stopped reaching after a while. I didn't notice. I was too relieved that she'd stopped bothering me with her needs. More time for me to worry about contracts and clients, and the business that was slowly becoming my real marriage. Here's what I didn't understand, what I was too proud and too stupid to see. Evelyn wasn't asking for much. She wasn't demanding expensive gifts or exotic vacations or some fairy tale romance. She just wanted me, my attention, my time, my presence. She wanted her husband back, and I was too busy being a businessman to be a man. The silence crept in so slowly, I didn't hear it coming. One day I woke up and realized we hadn't had a real conversation in months. We talked, sure, about the kids, the bills, the schedule, logistics. The same kind of talk you'd have with a business partner, not a wife. The laughter was gone. The dancing in the kitchen was a distant memory. We slept in the same bed, but might as well have been in different houses. I told myself this was normal. This was just what happened to marriages after a while. The passion fades, the excitement dies, and you settle into comfortable silence. But there was nothing comfortable about that silence. It was the sound of a woman giving up, slowly, quietly, one unanswered need at a time. I remember the night everything changed. It was 1985. The kids were grown, out of the house. Just me and Evelyn in a home that suddenly felt too big, too quiet, too full of empty space. I came home late, as usual. She was sitting at the kitchen table, not eating, not reading, just sitting, staring at her hands. I walked past her toward the refrigerator. "Anything for dinner?" She didn't answer. I turned around. "Evelyn, you okay?" She looked up at me, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Not anger, not sadness, something worse. Nothing. "I don't know who you are," she said quietly. I laughed, nervous. "What are you talking about? I'm your husband." She shook her head slowly. "No, you're the man who pays the bills. You're the man whose name is on the mortgage. But you're not my husband. My husband disappeared about 20 years ago. I've been waiting for him to come back, but I don't think he's coming." I stood there, refrigerator door still open, cold air pouring out, not knowing what to say. Evelyn, that's ridiculous. I've been here. Every day. I've been right here. Your body's been here, she said, but you left a long time ago. That night, she slept in the guest room. She slept there for the next 15 years. I want to tell you I woke up after that conversation, that I changed, that I fought for my marriage with everything I had. I didn't. I got defensive, angry. I told myself she was being dramatic, emotional, unfair. I worked my whole life to give her a nice house, financial security, a comfortable retirement. And this was the thanks I got? I doubled down on being right, instead of being close. Every time she tried to talk about how she felt, I turned it into an argument about everything I'd provided. Every time she asked for more of my time, I reminded her of the sacrifices I'd made for this family. I was keeping score, and I made sure she knew the score was in my favor. But you can't win an argument with your wife and keep your marriage at the same time. Every time I won, I lost a little more of her, until there was nothing left to lose. The years passed. We became experts at living together without actually being together. Polite, distant. Two roommates with a shared history and separate lives. I retired in 1995, sold the business, finally had all the time I'd promised her for decades. But it was too late. She didn't want my time anymore. She'd built a life without me. Her friends, her book club, her garden. She'd learned to be happy alone, even when I was in the next room. I'd try to suggest things. Let's take that trip to the coast. Let's try that new restaurant. Let's dance in the kitchen like we used to. She'd smile politely and say, "Maybe later, Walt." The same words I'd said to her for 30 years. Now I was the one hearing them. In 2007, Evelyn was diagnosed with cancer, pancreatic, stage 4. The doctor said 6 months, maybe less. The world stopped. All the contracts, all the money, all the success I'd built. It meant nothing. I would have burned every dollar I'd ever earned for one more year with her, one more month, one more day. Suddenly I was present, fully, completely present. For the first time in our marriage, I was truly there. I held her hand through every treatment, sat by her bed reading her favorite books out loud, told her stories about when we were young, when I was still the man she fell in love with. One night, near the end, she looked at me with those green eyes, faded now but still beautiful, and said, "There you are." I started crying. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasted so much time." She reached up, touched my face with a hand that had grown so thin and frail. "I know," she whispered. "I just wish you'd tried sooner." She died 3 days later. I wish you'd tried sooner. It's been 12 years since I buried her. 12 years of waking up alone. 12 years of eating breakfast across from an empty chair. 12 years of conversations I have with her photograph, because I never had them when she was alive. My children visit, my grandchildren call. But there's a distance there, too. They love me, I think, but they learned from my example. They learned that family comes second to work, that presence is optional, that love is something you assume rather than something you show. I taught them that, not with words, but with 1,000 absences. If you're watching this and you're young or middle-aged, or even my age, I need you to hear something. The biggest mistake I made in my marriage wasn't one big thing. It was a million small things. It was every time I chose work over dinner with my wife. Every time I half-listened instead of fully hearing. Every time I assumed she'd always be there, so I didn't have to try today. Every time I kept score instead of keeping close. Every time I was too proud to apologize, too stubborn to change, too blind to see what I was losing. Marriage isn't a contract you sign once and forget about. It's a promise you have to keep making every single day. It's not enough to say, "I love you," at the altar. You have to say it with your actions, your attention, your time. You have to say it on boring Tuesday nights and frustrating Monday mornings, and all the ordinary moments that make up a life together. Here's what I'd tell my younger self if I could go back. Stop keeping score. Marriage isn't a competition. You don't win by proving you're right. You win by staying close, even when it's hard. Talk to her. Really talk. Ask questions you don't know the answer to. Listen like her words are the most important sound in the world. Because one day, you'd give anything to hear that voice again. Be present, not just physically, fully. Put down the newspaper, the phone, the distraction. Look her in the eyes. Let her know she matters more than whatever else is demanding your attention. Fight fair. You're going to disagree, that's fine. But don't say things you can't take back. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Don't let pride convince you that being right is more important than being together. Never stop dating her. Take her out. Surprise her. Dance in the kitchen. Hold her hand in public. Make her feel chosen, not just stuck. And for God's sake, try. Try today. Not next month. Not after the next promotion. Not when things calm down. Today. Because one day there won't be any more days. And you'll be like me, 91 years old, sitting in an empty house, talking to a photograph of the woman who deserved so much more than you gave her. I have one more thing to say. If your marriage is struggling, if you've drifted apart, if the silence has crept in, if you feel more like roommates than lovers, it's not too late. It's not too late to choose her again. It's not too late to say, "I'm sorry. I haven't been the husband you deserve, but I want to be." Starting now. It's not too late to put down your pride and pick up her hand. I know because I've seen it happen. Couples who were on the brink, who chose to fight for each other instead of against each other, and found their way back. I didn't do that. I waited until she was dying to become the husband I should have been all along. Don't wait like I waited. The love of your life is in the next room, or across the dinner table, or lying beside you in bed right now. And they're wondering if you still see them. Show them you do, before it's too late, before your last conversation is, "I wish you'd tried sooner."